Hello and welcome to this episode of the Spiced In Podcast. My name is Jacob and I'm your host. This week we're talking about the next episode of The Mandalorian, Chapter 11. Before we do that though, we have a few quick Star Wars news bits to touch on. From a certain point of view, The Empire Strikes Back came out this past week, and although I haven't had a chance to start it yet, it is sitting on my bookshelf waiting for me to get going. Del Rey did something really cool with this book, and since there are 40 different short stories by 40 different authors, they're putting out little mini podcasts on every story with each author that wrote it. So we got about 10 episodes last week. They're releasing in batches weekly over the course of 3 weeks. So personally, I plan to read a story, listen to a podcast, and have it as like a debrief. So kind of going back and forth like that. I talked with the editor a little bit, and he said they're going to be about 15 minutes long. So I'm really looking forward to those. Yeah, there should be, I think, about 10 up now. You can find it on Spotify, and I'm pretty sure iTunes as well. But yeah, definitely Spotify. I always record these on Sunday, and yesterday for me, on Saturday evening, I was on the Geeky Waffles Mando live stream. It was a nice little reaction to Chapter 11 on their YouTube channel, and it was a lot of fun. I was there with Geeky Waffles Candace and Arzu, Eric Eilerson from Utini, Noor Hall, and Maggie from the Star Wars Friends show, and Let's Talk About Star Wars. So I had a lot of fun hanging out with those folks, and we had a lot of great discussion. I'll get into the episode myself really soon, but it was a lot of fun for reasons I'll get into soon. In addition, Maggie, Candace, and Eric have been spearheading the Star Wars Trans Life Matters This Is the Way fundraiser. They are reaching they are shooting far and above their goal. They're in the 5 figures and have been for a while, but the fundraiser is not over yet. I believe it ends, around the same time as the end of the season. You can find it, go back 3 tweets for me and it's there. I'll tweet about it again probably sometime this week, but definitely check that out and donate if you can. If you can't, go ahead and share it anyways, because the more eyes on this, the better. It's done a lot of good for a lot of people, and I really hope that it gets even farther. Yeah, go check that out. And then lastly, for a news front, this is a personal news thing. I have a new project coming up on the YouTube channel, so if you have not checked out my YouTube, it's just The Spiced In. You can find it. I think I have a link on my Twitter account. You can also go to thespicedin.com and find all our links on there. But yeah. It's exciting. I got to talk with some people about it and get some feedback. I think it's probably the highest production value thing I've done so far, which is not saying a whole lot, but a lot of research and a lot of effort went into making this. Personally, it's one of the first things I've been actually pretty proud of that I've made. So I'll definitely announce it on Twitter, but I really hope you check that out and you enjoy it when it does come out. I would say probably within the next week. Maybe even potentially Wednesday or Friday of this week, but I haven't really decided on what I want to do with it yet. I've just kind of gotten it put together, so we'll see. But that's as much as I'm going to say about it right now. But anyways, I think that's all we have, so we will move into our Chapter 11 discussion with a little non-spoiler conversation first. Hey guys, Editor Jacob here. If I could just borrow about 30 seconds of your time before we get back into our episode discussion, I forgot 2 major things to cover this week. One, the Light of the Jedi book by Charles Soule, which is coming out in January. They announced that they're releasing the first 8 chapters early. We already had chapter 1 a few months ago, but by the time you listen to this, all 8 chapters are going to be out. So look for me to talk about that soon. And then also, I think this Wednesday is my 1-year anniversary of starting the podcast, so that's super exciting. I don't have much planned, but now that I think about it, this new video project, I might just drop that on Wednesday for fun. So, thanks for making my first year special, and let's talk some Mando. So I haven't done a whole lot of non-spoiler reaction for the series because, if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably watched the show already. So, in keeping with that, this episode is incredible. If you are a big, long-time Star Wars fan who's, it's not quite as it's definitely not as much of a deep cut as the Cobb Vanth episode. But if you're a big Star Wars fan who goes beyond just watching the movies, and if you don't, that's perfectly fine. But if you are that person, you're going to enjoy this episode so much. My girlfriend, who is a newer fan, and definitely, I mean, she's very busy, so she's watched the movies, she's watched Mandalorian with me. She is like, I think she started a couple episodes of Clone Wars, but I mean, come on, guys, it's 7 seasons of television, and if we're being frank, not all of it is amazing. So it's a process. But anyways, she watched the episode and still enjoyed it, regardless of our difference in background knowledge of the series. It's such a good episode, and even more enjoyable if you are that hyper fan. So again, that's about all I'm gonna say. Non spoilers. I just go watch it. I mean that's all I got for you. So spoilers in 3, 2, 1. So a quick plot overview. Mando limps his way on his crappy ship over to the estuary moon of Trask. Frog Mama and Frog Daddy meet up and have a lovely reunion. Mando goes in hunt of some other Mandos. He gets tricked by Quarrens, because Quarrens are always bad. But he gets rescued by Bo freaking Katan, and he realizes he was in a cult the whole time, or at least she accuses him of being in a cult the whole time. They go back. They hatch a plan to hijack a Imperial ship for weapons, in order for Mando to get the information to help go find the Jedi. Their plan goes successfully. The Bo-Katan and her little crew get the ship, and he gets the information to go find Ahsoka Tano, and leaves with Baby Yoda. So boom, like 30 seconds-ish plot recap. Now let's break it down a little bit, because there's a lot to talk about. Last week I said, oh yeah, that shot from the trailer was definitely them heading to Trask, and yes, that was true. Pretty easy to call it when you're one episode out. But yeah, so that first shot from the trailer was them heading to Trask. They were low on fuel, so they end up having to do a harsh reentry into the atmosphere, which turned out to be a tribute. The director was Bryce Dallas Howard, who did a phenomenal job on this episode. But it was actually a tribute to her dad, Ron Howard, and he did the direction for Apollo 13. So it was a shot, kind of like a shot-by-shot tribute to that. He hits the jets at the very last second to try and slow his fall, but then one of his engines gives out and he just plops into the harbor. And like I said, like the split second, I'm like, oh no. I'm like, oh, it's a spaceship. It's pressurized to survive space. I think they'll be fine underwater. And they did. They got pulled out by an AT-AT platform crane, which apparently were also in the Solo movie. We have a lovely reunion of Mama Frog and Daddy Frog. The Daddy Frog points Mando in the direction of the inn to find more clues for the Mandalorians. And we see that little shot of Sasha Banks spying on him from the dock. At the inn, Mando, a cool little tie back to Season 1, he pays the Mon Calamari innkeeper in the flan he received from Greef Karga, which is the Mon Calamari currency. He buys a little bit of chowder for Baby Yoda and some information for himself. He's looking, of course, for his own kind, and he gets a tip to follow a Quarren. So at this point, I'm like, oh, cool. Like, is this like the first good guy Quarren we've seen in Star Wars? Which, I mean, I guess now that I think about it, there was Hennix in The Rise of Kylo Ren. He was a good dude. But every other Quarren, like, ever in Star Wars has been bad. So I'm like, oh, cool. A good Quarren. That's neat. That's a little bit of an inversion there. So he's like, I'll take you on a sailing trip to go meet your people a couple hours away. So they go on, the dope Star Wars ship sail boat thing. And he is fishing. It's very Deadliest Catch vibes. He has a net of fish. He's like, oh, you want to feed a mama core? I bet Baby Yoda would like to watch that. Which kind of looks like basically like an underwater sarlacc almost. Definitely not the same scale. But what we saw of it, that kind of appeared. So he opens this grate over the middle of the ship, drops these fish in, and then yeets Baby Yoda into it. And the mama core swallows Baby Yoda. And Mando dives in after him. They close the gate, and they're basically trying to spearfish him through the grates. When freaking Bo-Katan Kryze rescues him. Like, my mind got blown. I saw someone in Discord was like, did you guys freak out when she took her helmet off? I mean, yeah, but like, I freaked out when I saw her helmet to begin with. Like, they nailed her look, both with and without the helmet. Yeah, Katie Sackhoff, amazing job. It's so cool to see this character that's been around for like over a decade now, actualized in live action. So, wonderful. she has her two. She often is seen with like basically like two lieutenants throughout, Rebels and the Clone Wars. There's different characters sometimes. You had Ursa Wren, you had some other unnamed, but there always seems to be two people with her night owls. And this is no different. We have Sasha Banks playing Axe Woves, and you have I honestly don't know the actor's name. He had a really cool like thing on Twitter, Instagram, where he like talked about being such a huge Star Wars fan and like crying when he got his Mandalorian helmet, which is, I mean, same dude, same. But his name is Axe Woves, and then Koska Reeves is Sasha Banks' character. So they help him. She goes in and saves Baby Yoda. So, and shout out to Queel. Queel's like super baller pram saving Baby Yoda from the crushing depths and this sea monster. And then they remove their helmets, and Mando freaks out because this is not the way. So we find out from Bo-Katan that Mando is in a group called the Children. He's a child of the Watch, so presumably the group is called the Watch, which was a group of religious zealots that broke away from Mandalore and tried to reestablish the old way. So we're gonna break that down a little bit. Looking back on, I mean, this was a theory for a little bit that he was in some sort of like offshoot cult, and if you look back on season 1, it's pretty out there. So they live by strict rules. They live underground, and only one person can go above ground at a time. They had a leader that had a pretty strong grip on the group. They indoctrinated children. They purposely kept dumb about the rest of the galaxy. Like Mando doesn't know about other groups of Mandalorians. Like there's so much going on. They have a chant. This is the way. This strict moral code. Like there's so much going on there, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty culty. And honestly, like it makes me think of the armor, like beat down stormtrooper scene so differently now. Like I view it in such a different lens. Where when I watched it the first time, it's like, this is awesome. This is a really cool character, just like wrecking fools. I'm like, now it's like it just has this different like tinge to it. It's like, that's pretty brutal. Those are just like, I mean, I know they're Imperials and the bad dudes, but they're just doing their job, and she just brutalizes them. And it's like, now that you know that she might be a like crazed cult leader, it just hits different. But yeah, they're the Children of the Watch, and we know that Mando was rescued during the Clone Wars from people with Death Watch armor, who also were trying to invoke the old ways of war and violence. So it is, the writing's on the wall there. Like it's pretty. They're at least trying to make you think that there's a tie there between the two groups. Maybe Death Watch isn't the best like PR friendly name. Maybe they. After the end of the Clone Wars, they kind of go underground a little bit, especially when the heat comes on from the Empire. They're just trying to go about their ways differently, rather than by brute force to try and invoke these old ways. Maybe they just indoctrinate a ton of people and come back in with a bunch of numbers and just kind of take over the Mandalorian society that way. So I would think it's everything's pointing towards this being some sort of Death Watch offshoot. So we'll see if that ends up being the case, and we'll see, there's a lot of thoughts that maybe the armor becomes a villain of some sort, and her and Bo-Katan go at it. I'm very curious to see how this plays out. So yeah, he's like, yeah, you guys are Mandalorians, and then she's like, they check him. It's like, do you know who you're talking to? This is Bo-Katan Kryze. She ruled Mandalore, was the owner of the Darksaber. Her sister was the Duchess of Mandalore. Like, dude, like, no. if anyone's a Mandalorian, it's her. So he flies away back to the harbor, and they scuttle the ship. So he then, like, it cuts to nighttime, and he gets jumped by a bunch of Quarren, which again, it's like, dude, have you ever seen a Star Wars movie, Din? Like, all Quarrens are bad. Like, don't trust Quarrens. But the rest of the Night Owl crew hop in, shoot them all up, and they go and get a drink at the end. Which, of course, Mando doesn't, because he won't remove his helmet, but the rest of them do, because they're normal, not cultish crazy. So Mando, of course, wants to return Baby Yoda to the Jedi. But first, he needs to help Bo-Katan on her little side quest so he can get that information. She tells him that Trask is a black market, and she wants to steal some weapons to retake their homeworld, and install a new Mandalore on the throne, which is a cool, this is a very subtle thing that they threw out there. So Mandalore, it's very easy to miss, but Mandalore in the old canon was like the name of the ruler. So it's like, for us, like a king, for us is as to Mandalore is to Mandalore. It's confusing that the name of the species, the name of the culture and the name of the planet is also the name of the ruler. We've seen this before with Mandalore the Great, and the Wikipedia article claims that Pre Vizsla also counts as a Mandalore. I don't think he ever just outright claimed that title. I don't think he ever says I'm Mandalore I don't think he had that title specifically, but I guess when you view it that way, he is definitely he definitely could be considered a Mandalore. And they also list Bo-Katan as a former one, when she united them in Rebels. So in the old canon, they were all called Mandalores. You're like Mandalore the Ultimate, Mandalore the Great, all these different ones. Boba Fett becomes a Mandalore after the events of the original trilogy. So it seems like this is being pushed back more into canon, this concept. But yeah, she wants to install a new Mandalore on the throne. But Mando replies back saying that the planet is cursed. Anyone that goes there dies, which, to be fair, a lot of people have died on there. The Empire, created a super weapon to cook them out of their armor. And he said if the Empire can't have it, no one can. So, honestly, he might be a little cultish crazed, but he's not far off here. So Bo says, Bo's if you want our help, I can point you in the direction of a Jedi. You need to help us get some weapons. So they're going to hijack a Gorzanti freighter, which looked amazing. I really love the Rebel ship design, how it made the fleet so diverse for the Imperials. And of course we've had the Gorzanti freighter in Squadrons. The ship is most known as the one that TIE fighters stick to the bottom of so it can go into hyperspace. So have 4 TIE fighters stick to the bottom because TIE fighters don't have hyperdrives on board, and then it just jumps with all of them and drops them off at their location. So we have a stylized live action Gorzanti, which looked great. It looked a little too grungy, for my taste. I feel a few too many greeblings and extra panels with depth on it, but it still looked great. Mando drops off Baby Yoda to Frog Mama to babysit, and we see the first little tadpole hatch out of their egg. So they did not take long to fertilize these eggs. Just this, we've only been here for a day, so apparently that didn't take long. The plan is, the ship can't climb until it gets out of the harbor zone, so they plan to jetpack up and commandeer it from there, which I really like. I'm a bit of a nerd. I like planes. Well, really, dude, doing a Star Wars podcast is a nerd. But, I like planes and trains and transportation and stuff like that. So it's really cool to see air traffic, straight up air traffic control in Star Wars. That, I feel like that's such a nerdy, geeky thing that I like to see. These little details. So they hop up on there. They're dispatching stormtroopers left and right, and of course they're alerted to the presence of the Mandalorians. And the ship is currently trying to jump to hyperspace so it can rendezvous with the rest of the fleet. So apparently there's a fleet out there. I don't know if Moff Gideon has just because at this point the fleet from the Aftermath trilogies has jumped out to the unknown regions with Rey Sloane. So they're gone. So I don't know if Moff Gideon just commandeered a few ships and has his own mini fleet. But they're trying to get to the fleet. So we see the captain's climb now. We're not clear, just climb now. And it's super cool to see the physical effect of the Gorzanti's not a big ship in comparison to a Star Destroyer, but seeing what the effects of this big freighter has on the water. Just when it pulls up, you're oh, there's a reason it can't pull up before. It's not supposed to pull up before the harbor because it puts out some force. So the Mando crew heads to the cargo bay. There's a little bit of fisical comedy where the officer in the back's close the doors, close all the doors, and they close them in. They're we Captain, we locked them up in the cargo control area. I was where? And then just boom, they all just get vented out the side. So Bo picks up a comm link, which you'd think would have got sucked out the side too, but whatever, it's fine. And she's like, "Oh, we're gonna commandeer this whole ship. We're not just taking the weapons. This ship is ours." Which Mando's not happy about the altering of the plans. We get that cool like Boba Fett, Darth Vader moment from Bespin. It's like, "I've altered the plans. Pray I don't alter them any further." And it's really cool. We see like it's very subtle, but earlier in the inn, she's like, "We were gonna install a new Mandalore." Doesn't say who, just we're gonna install one. And now they definitely try and like plant the seed of doubt. Like, is she a little too radical? Because she's like, now at this point, she's saying, "I'm going to take the throne. It's going to be mine." They're playing some like eerie, like suspenseful music. Definitely trying to seed some doubt in Bo-Katan, because I mean she does have a darker background. She was in Death Watch. She definitely isn't immune to criticism. And then she like gives him a snarky "this is the way," and they head to take the cockpit. We see the first appearance of Moff Gideon, where he comes to the ship, asks them about the situation, and this is apparently not the first time the Mandos have hit the Empire. Well, I mean, we knew that. They said that in the end, but this is the first time, like, the Empire's aware of them. The captain requests backup, but he's like, "Oh, it's too late, dude. Long live the Empire." I'm getting some, like, strong Hydra vibes, like the Hail Hydra, but he's like, "Long live the Empire. Long live the Empire," and he shoots the pilots and then just, like, nosedives towards the water. The Mandos, like, figure out what's happening, but they're pinned down in a hallway, which is, like, when I'm watching this, I'm like, guys, you have, like, practically invincible armor. Just like it's gonna feel like you're getting punched a bunch, but just charge down that hallway and take them out. But they stay back. Mando finds like, whatever, I'll do it, and he like charges forward, gets shot a bunch, but gets managed to stumble forward and just chuck some detonators in the hallway, and they make it into the cockpit and pull up and level off right before they hit the water. So Bo-Katan goes to interrogate the captain, asks, like, she's like, she needs the Darksaber, so, straight up just says it, and asks if he has it. And the captain's like, if you have to ask, then you already know. And then there's a cool, again, adding on to the Hydra vibes, she's like, "Well, we're going to keep you." And he's like, "Well, he won't let me live." So he, like, bites down on a cyanide type capsule. It's like an ion charge in his mouth that just kills him. So yeah, more like Nazi Hydra vibes there. And they, have to get out of there because he had sent a distress call beforehand. So Mando goes to leave while they take their ship away, and Bo points him in the direction of the city of Caladan on the forest planet of Corvus, where he will find one Ahsoka Tano. Which, if Bo-Katan wasn't cool enough in this episode, having Ahsoka Tano in probably episode 3 or 3 of the season, we're probably going to get her in 5. That's the episode that Filoni did. Ahsoka is, oh my god, so exciting. Like, that's, I mean, ignore the fact that she's technically not a Jedi. This is incredible that we're getting all of this. And I don't think I think episode 5 makes the most sense for her to come, appear. Maybe we'll see her at the very end of episode 4 as a tease. I would think that maybe, since he sees them as a race of enemy sorcerers, that he's like, I should get some backup. And his ship is a piece of garbage that he needs fixed. So I think the next episode's probably the trip back to Navarro to get some friendly faces to help him on his next part of his quest, and hopefully get some repairs as well. So yeah, I think episode 5 of the season is probably where we're going to see her. But still, so hyped. And when we're back in the cargo, Bo-Katan gives him a snarky "this is the way," but as they're parting, she gives him a more heartfelt "this is the way." And to me, I feel like it's a sign. She doesn't. She obviously does not believe in this cult. But I feel like it's a sign of Mando earning her respect there, where he put himself on the line trying to charge down that hallway to get them, to save them and save the ship for the cause. So I think, regardless of they have a difference in ideals, but she still can respect the guy he is, and she gives that offer out if he wants to come back and help them, then he can feel free to do so. So he goes and jetpacks off, and he goes to save his baby boy. Well, not save him, pick him up from daycare, and we see Baby Yoda petting this little frog baby. It's super adorable, but it also is like, when I was watching, I'm like, is he gonna try and eat it? Because, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him, but it seems like a genuine character growth where Baby Yoda's learning about the miracle of life and everything like that, and it's very heartwarming. So we head back to the ship, which looks, now that he paid a Mon Cal to fix it up, it looks like it's held together by tape and fishnets and pretty garbo, and they take off to find the next chapter. So yeah, like I said, I don't think Ahsoka's next. I'm pretty sure I think that's the opinion of most people at this point. So yeah, there's a lot of questions. Will Mando go return to Mandalore to help Bo-Katan out? Is Bo going to revert to her Death Watch ways and like kind of feed into that like eerie, like unsettling vibe we got earlier? I don't, it's hard to tell. I would love for this like a 3-season arc to end with him like helping take back Mandalore. Also, is Sabine gonna be with Ahsoka? I really hope so, because I really like Sabine. But who knows? I think it might be a little much to get like, bam, another, oh my god, you're not a Mandalorian kind of moment from Din so soon. So I'm not super sure. We might just, I feel like we might get some mention of her, like how Ahsoka talks about her experiences with Bo-Katan and Sabine, but maybe not. She might not say her by name, but like, oh, I've worked with Mandalorians in the past, and that informs how she acts with him. So we'll see. There's a lot to talk about. I cannot wait till next Friday. I also can't wait till tomorrow or I guess today for Mando Monday, because if there's some sweet Bo-Katan merch, I might be in trouble. So I think that's all we got for this week. Yeah. Let me know what you think about this episode, because just shoot me a tweet, because I could talk about this all day. So anyways, thanks for listening, guys. If you liked what you heard, you can check me out at SpicedInPod on Twitter and Instagram. Check out thespicedin.com for articles and book reviews, and the Spiced In YouTube, which, like I said earlier, will have some pretty cool new content coming on it within the next week or so. But I think that's all. Thanks to Graham Bowl for providing the music for this episode, and as always, may the Force be with you.